All right, so here's a video for the Unit 1 practice test version 2. So question number 1 is asking us to identify the coefficient and constant. So remember that the coefficient is a number in front of the variable, and then the constant is any term without a variable. So in this case, the coefficient is going to be -8, because that's a number in front of the variable, and then the constant is going to be a +2. All right, the second question says, how many terms does this expression have, and what are the like terms in the following expression? So remember that the terms are basically separated by addition and subtraction. So if we count the number of terms, 3x squared is a term, 4y is a term, -2x squared is a term, 2x is a term, and -4 is a term. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms. If we want to know like terms, remember like terms have to have the same variable and the same exponent. All right, so if I look here, I have 3x squared, and I have another x squared terms. So 3x squared and -2x squared are like terms. I also have, well, that's actually my only like terms. 4y is a variable term, however, there are no other y terms. 2x is a variable term, there are no other x terms, and then I have -4, which is a constant. So 3x squared and -2x squared are like terms. All right, the next set of questions asking me to write a numerical expression for each of the verbal expressions. So for this one, we're basically translating into symbols. So I'm going to highlight the operation words plus and divided by. So my variable expression is going to be 2 plus 12 divided by 4. All right, so for the next one, I have 25 less than 100. So remember the tricky thing about less than is when we see the word less than, we actually reverse the order of the number. So instead of 25 minus 100, it's going to be 100 minus 25. All right, next one, it says the quotient of 32 and 4. Then we have increased by 5. So quotient, remember, means dividing. Okay, sometimes I like to put it in parentheses, so we can do 32 divided by 4. And then increased by, we know, is addition. It's going up, increased by 5. All right, taking a look at this last one here, I have 8 times 6 divided by, then we have the sum of 3 and 8. All right, so I'm going to do 8 times 6 divided by, when we have the sum of, that means we're going to put these in parentheses. We're going to group together 3 and 8, and sum means addition. All right, the next one, we're selecting all the verbal expressions that represent this numerical expression. So if we look at A, it says the sum, so sum means addition, of 25 and 6 times a number squared. Well, squared means raised to the second power. However, in this expression, I have it raised to the third power. So A is not going to be correct. All right, the next one, I have 25 increased by, so I have the word increased by, which means addition. The product means multiplication of 6 and 2. So this is close, however, remember that 2 has this exponent here. So it's not 2, it's 2 to the third power, or 2 cubed. So this is going to be incorrect as well. All right, the next one we have 25 plus, so far so good because we have the plus sign here. 6 times 2 to the third power. That one's going to be correct. All right, so the 25 here, 25 is the first one. I have plus, which is the plus. I have the 6. Remember that we have a hidden operation here with the parentheses. That's going to be times. And then we have 2 to the third power. So 2 to the third power would be 2 with an exponent of 3. Let's look at D. It says 25 plus, so 25 plus, the product means multiplication, of 6 and 2 cubed. The product of 6 and 2 cubed. Cubed is another way to say to the third power, so that's actually also correct as well. All right, last one here, we have 25 increased by, increase is plus, 6 plus 2 to the third power. So this one's incorrect because the word plus is not right? We know that, oops, sorry, that's not correct. We know that it's 6 times 2 to the third power, not 6 plus. All right, the next set of problems, we are simplifying. So when we simplify, we're going to distribute, and then we're going to combine like terms. All right, so if we see parentheses, we're going to distribute. So we're going to do 2 times x, and then we're going to do 2 times 4, and 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 4 is positive 8. So there are no like terms there because we have a variable term and a constant, so it's just going to be 2x plus 8. Okay, same thing for number 2. We're going to distribute negative 3 times 2x, and then I have negative 3 times negative 6. So negative 3 times 2x, we're going to multiply the coefficients or the big numbers. So negative 3 times 2 is negative 6x. And then for the second one, we have negative 3 times negative 6. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive, so that's going to be plus 18. All right, C, we're still distributing. We have this number on the outside. It doesn't matter if the number's on the at the end or in the beginning. We're still multiplying, so I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to do 4 times 2x squared. I'm going to do 4 times negative 8x, and I'm going to do 4 times 14. All right, so 4 times 2x squared, 4 times 2 is 8, so we have 8x squared. Then I have 4 times negative 8x. Positive times a negative is a negative, so I have negative 32x. And then I have 4 times 14, that's going to be positive 56. So I don't have any like terms because even though these are both x's, this has an exponent of 2 and this has no exponent. So those are not like terms. So this is my final answer. All right, let's take a look at the last one here. So we have 2 sets of parentheses, so we're going to distribute twice. So we're going to do 2 times y, and then 2 times 4. Then we're going to do negative 2 times 3y, and I'm going to do negative 2 times 8. So now we have 4 terms here. So 2 times y is just 2y. 2 times 4 is going to be positive 8. Negative 2 times 3y is negative 6y. And then negative 2 times 8 is going to be negative 16. Now we need to combine like terms. So here I see I have 2 variable terms, 2y and negative 6y, and then I have 2 constants. So we're going to combine those together. So 2 minus 6y is going to be negative 4y, and then 8 minus 16 is going to be negative 8. All right, we're going to be doing the same set of steps for this set of problems. We're going to distribute and combine like terms, but if you look at all of these problems, I don't see any parentheses, which means all we're going to be doing is combining like terms. So remember, like terms have the same variable and the same exponent. Okay, so if we look at the first question here, let's start with 7m. I'm going to highlight everything that has just a plain m, 23m, and I have 4m. Notice I'm highlighting the sign along with the number, and then I have 5p. So I'm going to combine together everything I highlighted in blue. So 7 plus 23 plus 4, that's going to give me 34m, and then I have plus 5p. All right, same thing with b. I have 5z squared. I'm going to highlight everything that's z squared here, and then I have 3z. So 5 and 8 is 13z squared, and then I have plus 3z. Let's see, c, I have a 6x, and I have a 5x, and then I have a 4y. So 6 and 5 make 11, and then I have plus 4y. All right, so now let's do k. So I have 5k and I have a 7k. And then I have a 3k to the third power and a negative 9k to the third power. So I'm going to combine together my k terms. 5 and 7 make 12k. And then I have 3 minus 9. So that's going to be negative 6k. k to the third power. All right, let's move on to concept B. So concept B, we're evaluating, which means our answer should be a number, okay? So for the first set of problems, we're going to be using PEMDAS, right? Order of operations. So looking at the first question, we first start with parentheses, but I don't see any parentheses here. Then we would do exponents, and I don't see any exponents here. So now we're going to move on to multiplication and division. So I see multiplication, division. We're going to work from left to right. 18 divided by 9 is 2. And we can also do this one. 2 times 6 is 12. We're going to bring down the plus sign. So now we all have left is 2 plus 12, which is going to be 14. All right, the next problem, same thing. We're going to start with parentheses. Start with parentheses. So we have 10 plus, we don't have any parentheses for this set of problems. So now we're going to move on to exponent. We do have an exponent. We have 8 to the third power, which is 512. And we're going to bring down everything. And now we're going to, we have addition and division. Division happens first, so now we're going to divide by 16. 512 divided by 16 gives me 32. And then we have 10 plus 32, which equals 42. Moving on to the last one here. So this one we do have parentheses, which means we're going to do everything inside the parentheses first. Inside the parentheses, I have division and I have addition. Division's going to happen first. So 16 divided by 2 is 8. I'm bringing everything down. Remember, this is 4 times the parentheses. Now we're going to keep going inside the parentheses. 8 plus 6 is 14. And now all we have left is 4 times 14, which is going to be 56. All right, moving on to the next set of problems here. We're given values for our variables. We're given x, y, and z. So everywhere we see an x, we're going to be plugging in -6. Everywhere we see a y, we're going to be plugging in 8. And everywhere we see a z, we're going to be plugging in 3. So also keeping in mind, remember that when we have two variables right next to each other, we know that that's being multiplied, right? So for the first one, I'm going to do -6 times 8 plus z, which is 3. Now we're going to evaluate. We're going to do the multiplication first. So we have -6 times 8, which is going to be -48. And then we're going to add 3. So it's going to be -45. All right, the second one. So I have 2 parentheses, -6 plus 3. And then we're going to -8. We're going to do parentheses first. -6 plus 3 is going to be -3. Remember, it's multiplication here. So I have 2 times -3 minus 8. We're going to do the multiplication. 2 times -3 is -6. I have -6 minus 8, which is -14. Last problem. So I'm going to plug in y. So it's going to be 8 plus -6 times 3 divided by 2. So first thing I'm going to do in the numerator is I'm going to multiply. So -6 times 3 is -18. So I have 8 plus -18 over 2. Remember, 8 plus -18 is just 8 minus 18, which is going to be -10 over 2. And -10 over 2 means division. So -10 divided by 2 is -5. All right, the next problem gives us prices at a movie theater, and it's asking the total cost if we have 3 friends and each person buys a ticket, popcorn, and soda. So every person's going to buy a ticket, which is $9.75. Every person's going to buy a popcorn, which is $6.25. And every person's going to buy a soda, $5.50. But since we know that 3 people are coming, we're going to multiply that total by 3. So we could distribute here, but we can also just use order of operations, add everything on the inside, and then multiply it by 3, or you can put it all in your calculator at once. You should get a total of $64.50. Okay, last problem is a similar type of problem, except we don't know how many hot dogs or churros are bought. We just are going to use placeholders here. So we're going to use H for hot dogs and C for churros. So hot dogs cost $3. So the total cost for H amount of hot dogs would be $3 times H. And then we're also buying churros, right? Total means to add. Churros cost $1.25, so it's gonna be $1.25 times C. Again, we don't know how many hot dogs are being bought and how many churros are being bought, so we're just gonna use a variable to represent that amount.